in this investigation then, correct? Because it would be limited to however many people you needed to speak with, video that you need to go to. And then what are your resources should you find maybe there's not enough video, or maybe there are deleted videos, or people don't simply want to talk to you? What happens then?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, what if people don't cooperate and want to talk to me, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, obviously we can't force people to come forward and be interviewed. And you really can't, without any cooperating evidence or other information, there's really no way to corroborate what the allegation is without someone providing an interview and providing you with additional information that you can then go and corroborate. So, you know, it's sort of, if they don't want to cooperate and they don't bring forward the allegation, they're not interviewed, there's nothing we can establish whether that allegation is sustained or not at that point.
I get that, and that question, I guess, is twofold. If that's the general public that doesn't want to cooperate with an investigation like that, and or what if you don't have full access to all of what are, like from the police department, we're from town resources, what then? What's your recourse then, and what does the town get out of that at that point?
Mayor, if you could repeat the question.
So if you came in to investigate, let me make sure I have this right. If you came in to investigate and nobody wanted to talk to you, so even law enforcement, which I believe that they would, even if they didn't, what was the question?
What does he do then? I mean,
What do you do then?
What does the town get out of a baby?
So if you come in and nobody wants to talk to you, not private citizens, not police, what do you do then?
Well, as far as private citizens, there's not much we can do. But as far as town and mountain air employees, including law enforcement, they have no choice. They have to be interviewed. So if someone says, hey, Mayor stole some items, I would still interview the mayor and see what he has to say in his interview. Unfortunately, again, if I can't corroborate what the allegation is, then I can't sustain or unfound the allegation. But I think that to do some due diligence on the town's part is that if there's an allegation brought forward, regardless of whether that citizen wants to be interviewed, someone still has to investigate those allegations, whether it be internally, an outside investigator, or someone else.
Do you know our chief of police, Mr. Juan Reyes? Maybe I don't think you heard me.
Was the question, do I know Juan Reyes?
Correct.
So I know Juan Reyes. Juan had worked for the Albuquerque Police Department some of the years that I was on the police department. I did not work with him. I don't know him personally. I think he was in the gang unit when I was in the homicide unit for a short period of time. He was in the gang unit. But I haven't seen, nor have I talked to Juan since I retired. So to answer your question, yes, I know him, but I'm not by any means personal friends, related. I don't socialize with him, so that would not be a conflict.
Upon hiring you to do an investigation, you said that the officers have to cooperate with you, the town has to cooperate. Is that something, because you say you've worked on, I forget, you said over 500 or so, but is that something the town has to sign, that is there anything like that the town has to sign, giving you I don't know, full reign or full authority to look at videos, to get that kind of evidence and all, question officers? Or is that just something that's volunteered or just kind of status quo? Is it something that's required? Do we sign something like that when you do your investigation, or is that just the way it goes?
I'm assuming when I signed the contract, that gives you full right over town of Mountain Air as far as investigations, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I just real quick to the reference of possible knowing of each other, if New Mexico State Police, which you're recommending, investigates, he knows everybody in the New Mexico State Police. If the Attorney General is the person that you want, Chief knows everyone in the Attorney General's office.
No, he doesn't.
It's kind of one of those things where being in the law enforcement for 30 plus years, you're going to know a lot of these people. I mean, Chief has worked for APD, for county, for all this stuff. So it's really up to you. If you want to look for an outside, another investigator, that, like I said before, totally up to you. I don't mind anything. I've seen videos of some of the complaints that are coming. I have nothing to hide. And that's why I'm telling people to look at the video themselves. Look at the video yourselves. I doubt that you're going to find somebody that probably doesn't know of him.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
And let me just add that the investigation, the facts and the interviews speak for themselves. So you cannot, irregardless of whether I like Chief Reyes or I don't like him, it can't be skewed or changed in my investigation because the interviews are the interviews. There's no way around it. The only interpretation would be if I felt that he violated this policy. I mean, obviously the council and the mayor and someone in HR can say, well, even though it may be a violation of that policy, we just don't feel that it fits to the letter of the law of that policy. But it would still be indicated in my report that reviewing the town's policies, police department policies, that it was a violation of the policy.
Sure.
So state police and all police officers are upstairs sworn and they swear to uphold the law to the fullest extent without any type of bias. Does he have to do that?
I don't know if the tape's picking it up or not.
I'll rephrase the question. So a member of the audience says that law enforcement, such as state police and the Attorney General's office, they swear to uphold the law, essentially. Does a private investigator do the same?
Yes, I mean, ethically, the private investigators are held to the same standards as law enforcement, pursuant to their PI license, including ethical, the ethics with it.
And I just want to voice out, this gentleman said he worked for Albuquerque as an investigator. Have you guys seen what's going on in the police department in the last 20 years in Albuquerque? Jesus Christ. That's all I got to say.
I believe you have time.
I have a question about procurement code. Have you put this out for bid? Your $7,000 amount for this particular person seems to me like that's in the range of a possible DFA issue with procurement code. And for that great of amount, given the amount of finances that Mountain Air doesn't have, wouldn't it be smarter to put this out to bid with a specified scope of work? Because that's not on your agenda either. What is the specific scope of work that you're requesting? So, and by the way, there's a lot of PIs out here. David Frazee is a PI, lives over at Moriarty. I mean, you should shop around, I think.
I agree. That's a possible solution. The code doesn't kick in until 20,000, so we don't have to get 20 quotes until after 20,000. And actually, for professional services, it doesn't kick in until 60,000. We have to do full-blown RFPs for that. But in this case, our local procurement code says best.
And I would counter with that, if I may. You guys have a fiduciary duty. You have a fiduciary duty to the citizens of this community. $7,000 is a lot of money. So I personally think for arm's length, if you're going to do the investigator route, then asking the state agencies to come in and have full arm's length, and because normally that doesn't cost the town, and it's a more thorough report. I think, you guys should really think seriously about what you're doing.
I definitely agree with your statement that it's a lot of money. I will say also that I guess my argument would be these accusations are pretty serious, and so
Absolutely.
I think you get what you pay for. And so if we're going to go with someone that's charging us $2,000, and are we really getting someone that's actually doing a good job?
You also have state agencies.
Is there a way that we could just go, and I know the man personally, so do you, but get Hector Valdez or
So
Yes,
and come down, and then there's no bias there.
Yes.
He works for the state, he works for all the communities, and the money will be, it's free for our community.
yes.
So just get Hector Valdez to come in and do.
I mean, he would have to agree to it, but yes. In fact, that was, yes. And just so you're aware, the next item on the agenda is also to seek outside law enforcement as well. The AG's office would be one of them. In fact, Ernie spoke with myself earlier that we may possibly meet tomorrow together to reach out to the Attorney General's office. So. Any questions for Rick Foley? Any other questions?
I don't have any more questions for Mr. Foley. Thanks, for your time and answering the questions for me. I'm new to this. I've never been part of something like this, so it brought up a lot of questions and a lot of gray area for me. The reason I asked the questions, just to give you clarification, was the money and the process of it all. I thought that my opinion was hiring a private investigator was more of a town employee. I understand it's more of you would be a contractor to the town, but I thought that would be more of a report than an actual law enforcement investigation. And that's why I was asking these questions, and that there was the stem of my concern, PI versus law enforcement. Just wanted you to know where I was coming from, but thank you for your time, if you heard that.
Sure. Did you hear that, Mr. Foley?
No, sir.
So it's the speakers are facing outward. So basically, he just wanted to the difference between a PI and a law enforcement agency. He just feels like a PI is more different than a law enforcement agency, which would be by law. So I understood that also the money factor, things of that nature. So he doesn't have any more questions per se, but that's
Just
kind of
wanted to know
he's
where I was
coming
coming
from, and just wanted you to be aware of that.
I can address, a private investigator obviously does not have subpoena powers, cannot get search warrants. But again, we're looking at policy, whether if there's any crimes that have been committed. As far as the amount, I had put on there not to exceed 7,000, and that was based on that there may be up to 20 plus interviews that are going to potentially be needed. So that would be the lack of a better word, the worst case scenario. But if I only do 5 or 6 or 10 interviews, it won't be near the 7,000, nor will I bill. You're not going to get a bill from me for 7,000 because that's what the contract with. It's whatever the amount it takes me to do the investigation.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Foley. Does any other members of the council have a question? All right, Mr. Foley, you are more than welcome to stay on, or if you would like to get off, we will. You can stay on and listen to how council votes, or I can let you know at a later time. I appreciate you joining us here tonight very much.
Thank you for your time, and I will terminate my end of the call.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Foley.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye. You have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion at this time that we table hiring a private investigator until after a meeting tomorrow to see if we can't reach out to the Attorney General's office to see if they'll even consider looking at this complaint. It's been explained that it's been explained to me that they don't take every case. Might not be as important to them as it is personally to some of us, but they might dismiss it, they might say no. But I'm making a motion that we table this until next meeting, and at that time we should have some sort of an answer as to whether or not we can even reach the AG's office, and if so, at that point we'll know what they're telling us, whether they're putting us off, whether they're saying no, or whether they're jumping on and saying yes. So my motion is to table this until next meeting, so we can possibly try to reach out to the AG's office and see if they'll take over the investigation and save the town the money. That's my motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Ernie, second by Richard. Roll call, Richard?
Four.
Aurora?
Four.
Juanita? Ernie.
4.
All right, motion passes. Item is tabled until the next meeting of the governing body. Moving on, approval to use an outside law enforcement agency to address various complaints. Councilperson Ernie Lopez.
So that just falls right in line with that motion. I'd like approval to reach out to the Attorney General's office. So right now, I'll make a motion of approval to use an outside law enforcement agency to address various complaints.
Yes.
And I'm actually glad that you said that and not limited to the Attorney General, because we can also reach out to state police as well.
Yeah, correct. I think, again, I advocate for people that come to me and have concerns. I don't think anybody out there that has come to me would be opposed to county, state, or AG's office taking over. I think the general consensus is outside law enforcement, actual law enforcement. So I don't think there's anybody with any complaints there.
Sure. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Ernie, a second by Aurora. Roll call, Richard.
Four.
Aurora?
Four.
Juanita?
Four.
Ernie.
4.
All right, motion passes. Moving on, presentation and proposal to start a business incubator. Lachey Chavez and Michael Valverde.